Recent NATO airstrikes on Tripoli have mainly targeted government buildings and Colonel Gaddafi's presidential compound. But these latest attacks focused on the port. Residents of the Libyan capital heard a series of blasts, then columns of smoke could be seen rising from the city's port area. At least one boat could be seen in flames, which NATO later said was one of several warships it had struck. For weeks, NATO has tried to keep up its pressure on the Gaddafi regime with such nightly airstrikes. But on the ground, the conflict between pro-Gaddafi forces and the rebel army appears to have hit a stalemate, with few signs of serious gains being made by either side. For his part, the Libyan leader made his first appearance on state television in more than a week. Colonel Gaddafi was shown meeting a Libyan politician who has been holding talks with Russian officials in Moscow about the possibility of brokering a ceasefire. The Libyan government also reiterated its criticism of NATO, saying international leaders had so far ignored an offer from Mr. Gaddafi to visit the country.
Powerful, reasonable governments come on the ground, check the facts, and then act, especially when they are invited. And we promised them free access from the 25th of February. That's almost 3 months ago. It's not Obama who decides whether Muammar Gaddafi leaves Libya or not. It's the Libyan people who decide their future.
Coming just hours after President Obama set out the US position on what's being called the Arab Spring, there is clearly a long way to go before the conflict in Libya reaches any kind of definitive conclusion. Will Grant, BBC News.
Well, let's go to Tripoli now and speak to the BBC's Andrew North. And Andrew, you have been taken down to the port area, I gather, to actually try and film some of the damage.
That's right. This was soon after it happened last night, and we saw plumes of smoke and flames rising from what certainly appeared to be a warship. It was some way in the distance. It was still afloat, moored between two larger commercial freight ships that appeared to be unscathed. So it appears to have been a fairly accurate strike, and the Libyan government is saying that several other Coast Guard ships were also hit. Now, the question, of course, is, well, how does this really affect the campaign? What difference does this make? There are some reports that these Libyan ships had actually not left port for some time. NATO, though, is saying that Libyan Navy ships had been used to mine the port of Misrata, and because of both what they say was a threat to civilians and also to their own ships, that's why they decided to attack them. But I think there are still plenty of questions here as to what difference these particular strikes are going to make.
Can I just turn also to one other development that we've had last night about the South African photographer Anton Hamel. His family saying now that they believe that he has been killed by Gaddafi's forces.
We have heard these reports coming from some of the journalists who were released earlier this week. We have not been able to confirm them independently. We've not yet had any comment on that from the Libyan authorities ourselves.
OK, Andrew North, I will leave it there. Thanks very much indeed for that.